Hi everybody, this is TheHande Mäkinen, and here I am dicking around with the old DOS box again, and today I wanted to do a little special thing. I downloaded a bunch of little games from DOS Archive, which is a fun little website that features a lot of old shareware content, also some freeware games, and even a few like older games that are just the full versions, Beneath the Steel Sky and so forth. This is going to be two games in this because these are both very simple games. I might do another longer one at some point. And sorry about the screen. I'm going to try to adjust it accordingly, but unfortunately these games do not have consistent resolutions. But I'll try to alleviate that in the edits. So today I'm going to be playing two sort of classic games, or rather just copycats of classic games. So this one is a clone of Q Bert that's called PC Bert.
Hello, I'm Brenda.
Yes, and this is as you can see, this is a very faithful recreation of Q Bert. I have no idea when this came out. Judging from the renders, this had to be in the mid-90s, somewhere abouts. And okay, let's... I'm not sure if it remembered my original settings. Left down and right down. I think that'll be... I mean, it's going to take me a minute to remember anyway. Alright, yes, and now back to the main menu. But yeah, I've played a little bit of this already, and it seemed to run fairly faithfully, although I just noticed that I have the cycles too low, so I'm going to have to probably, unfortunately, break in the middle. And sorry if... I hope people will be able to hear the sound effects well. I found a couple of really funny, cool ones, like there was also a port of Super Giana Sisters. I don't think... Well, I have played... Oops, okay, got a bit confused there. I saw a port of Super Giana Sisters for the DOS, and it, at least the sounded good, but I could not unfortunately make it run correctly on DOSBox at the time. I'll try to look into it if I can make it run, but I have actually long time ago I've actually played Super Giana Sisters on an actual. Actually on a Commodore 64, yeah, that was many moons ago, and honestly, I have not since then had an opportunity. I know some many years ago. Well, the Wii had some Commodore 64 games on it as well. God damn it. Yeah. But anyway, yes, Q Bert, yes, I love Q Bert. This is a really cool game, but I don't own Q Bert for any system. So when I saw this, I have played this on I have played this game on a. Whoa, these things are freaking me out a little bit. I have played Q Bert on something. Yeah, browser. I played out like a browser version of Q Bert a few times when I got really hankering for it, and that's actually kind of cool. That's actually kind of the that's the kind of age we live in. Like, if you really want to badly play like some classic retro games, like I've noticed that almost in fact, yes, recently just working on a certain video, I've noticed that there always seems to be at least one browser version of it. I'm gonna go again. This is fun. I like this. I love the way the ball bounces, by the way. So this is it would have been just an initials. Well, whatever. Yeah, this high score screen seems like it takes for. It doesn't seem like. Okay, now we got out of that. Yeah. So I've always really loved Q Bert, but Q Bert is like one of those IPs that was very big in the late 80s. I'm sorry, early 80s, and then just kind of disappear. Like Q Bert weirdly had a resurgence a few years ago because Q Bert featured back-to-back in like two video game movies, Pixels. Oops, yeah, sorry. It's funny, like I don't seem to have a lot of problems moving around normally, but the minute I get to near the bottom of the screen, I just get very confused all of a sudden. These sound effects, by the way, remind me a lot of Snake Rattle and Roll. I'm wondering if I should do a one-off of that as well. That's actually one, no joke, that actually is one of my favorite NES games. I played that. We played that a lot at our babysitters. Ah, crap. Yep. And I just love the fact that Q Bert swears. Yeah. So yeah, Pixels and then Wreck-It Ralph. Like, so, you know, Q Bert had this weird little mini renaissance in video game movies without actually having his own movie. But yeah, that's another thing. That's amongst several reasons why I still have not been able to watch Saturday Supercade. I've mentioned that before. That's an old video game cartoon. But what made it special was the fact that it wasn't just one video game. It was like a anthology. It was just an anthology. Did actually worse that time. An anthology video game show, and it had a bunch of different video games represented in it, and one of them was Q Bert. So that's among several reasons why Q Bert is something. Yeah, Q Bert just has not had the most fun time. Like, there's a lot of classic. You know, Q Bert had a lot of temporaries and peers that have had much, you know, much more consistent, like, comebacks for years gone by. Like, okay, granted, maybe Q Bert was never like a triple A IP anyway. And I think the one big reason is that the company that made Q Bert, Gottlieb, I think they went out of business already during the 80s. And at least at some point, I think Atari owned the rights, like post, 1984 Atari, not the good Atari, obviously. But I know this because I know there's a Q Bert game for the PlayStation that Atari, if they did not develop, they at least licensed. Ah, fucking hell. Yeah, but I love this shit. Like, it's something it's actually a video idea that I've been planning on making at some point. Which is, what retro games are too retro for me? Because, you know, I love old retro games, but when it comes to PC games, a lot of times with this game, like, this game is obviously much older than this particular rendition of it that I'm playing. Like, this was an arcade game originally. And I get the feeling like at this point when this game was being made, like this game is actually this game is technically like a neo-retro. It's a recreation of the arcade on what I imagine was mid-90s PC specs, which would have already been, like, you know, exponentially more powerful than anything that the arcades were capable of in the 80s at the time when this game. I think I don't remember the exact year when Q Bert came out. Like, but it was like relatively early in the 80s. Like, we're talking pre-video game crash. Oh no, that fucking asshole is and I got confused again. All right, one more round, and then I think we will switch over to the other game that I was planning. PC games of the before 1990 is honestly where I kind of tend to draw the line for IBM compatibles. Like, obviously, something like a Commodore game will look much better, even in even very early. I'm not sure if it's me talking, but I'm pretty sure I have gotten further in Q Bert than level 3 before. Anyway, but yes, the thing is, there's a lot of things. 1990 is kind of the critical year. Anything older than that for IBM compatible PCs, like, I tend to not be a big fan of, because partly because of the graphics are never really the hiccup for me. Like, yes, CGA looks like fucking epilepsy puke. But, you know, it can be charming, and if it's done, the thing about CGA graphics that you have to remember is that they were actually designed, somewhat ironically, they were designed for, so that's the snake, okay. Yeah, CGA graphics were actually designed for monochrome screens, so if you play a CGA game on a monochrome monitor, then all those ugly ass yellows and cyans and magentas, they will come out as different. They will come out as different gradients of gray. Yeah, so CGA games will always look a lot better if you play them with a black and white monitor. Because the color was not designed to represent actual items in the game world. It was just what they were. I'm gonna go. I keep dying so often that that's the thing. But the thing that I cannot get over with old PC games is the lack of music, and even lack of sound. I could forgive it, but PC speakers noises are just so goddamn awful. I hate it. Like, I love ad-lib sound. Like, that's the kind of very dopey, very primitive MIDI sound. You know, so for me, like, for MIDI playback, it doesn't actually have to be crystal clear. In fact, for me, it's the complete opposite, because obviously with MIDI, what you can easily do is that you can have, like, a bunch of PCM samples and just program MIDIs to, repeat that, but then it's gonna just sound like a bunch of samples, and then it's not really that much different from, let's say, something like mod music. So actually, the more primitive the MIDIs, the more charming it sounds to me, and more unique it sounds to me. And in ad-lib especially, I just love the kind of weak drums, which is why, not sure of how fair this is, but that's why Sega Mega Drive music always reminds me of ad-lib music a little bit, because it has that weird kind of, I like to call it the finger drums, because it doesn't sound like a proper drum sound. It sounds like somebody trying to play the drums, but like with their fingers. Ooh. Oh no. Oh, I don't know how the hell I survived that. Yeah. But yeah, the lack of music is really the #1 thing, and especially, like, even something like, I played Duke Nukem, the first Duke Nukem on here, but yeah, that's where they tried hard to have sound just using the PC speakers, but it just sounds so awful. Granted, like, my audio recordings for that episode were kind of terrible to begin with, but I think that Let's Play, like, perfectly, in my opinion, demonstrated why I hate PC speaker audio, because it does sound, it's just such ear-rapingly awful what it sounds like when you listen to it. Oh, come on. No. Ooh. Oh, I did it. Yes, level 4. Okay. Oh, there's one at the top as well. Whoa, okay. So, immediately got confused. I was so hyped up that I Jesus, that's the end of it. I got so hyped up that I got to the level 4 that I immediately just killed myself. Ain't that just the truth, isn't it? That just happens every time. All right. So I'm gonna have to pause this because I noticed that the cycles are too high on the game. So I'll be right back, and we'll play the other game that I was planning on playing. Alright, welcome back, and here is the second game that I wanted to play, and as you can see, it's Clone Invaders. So this is obviously a clone of Space Invaders, which is funny because I was actually digging around my old Windows 98 PC just recently, and I actually discovered that I had another Space Invaders clone on that. Alright. And I really hope that this works out. I'm gonna press number 1. Oh yes. Oh yes, and I got the cycles right, so oof. Yes, so this is just Space Invaders, nothing too fancy, but this is another game that I actually do really enjoy. And I remember when I had the Tidal Legends 2, that was the infamous, the PC version of Tidal Legends 2, which ended up destroying, or killing our friggin' laptop back in the day. Oh man, yeah. It had like a bunch of different variants on this. Oh Jesus. So this is a game I really enjoy. It's very simple. So yes, when it comes to arcade games, this is the thing. I really do not like arcade games most of the time. I find that these days when they like release arcade games in like collections and stuff, the thing that I just notice is that they are all designed the same way, that the difficulty gets too gets too high too quickly, and yeah, you just die too quickly, and yeah, and it's not fun to play really, because and the thing that you notice is also with those kinds of games is that you just do not yeah, these guys are firing really rapidly, like I have barely any time to react, because I'm trying to see where my laser's going when I can shoot again. Damn it. Yeah, so the CD, sorry, what am I talking about? So most arcade games are really just not my jam. For these for these really old single screen games, I actually do enjoy these, because for these the challenge makes a little bit of sense, because the game is only just the single screen. So I've always enjoyed these types of games. So Q Bert, this, Pac-Man, Donkey Kong Jr., Battlezone, Asteroids, you know, that kind of game. Those games, all of those games, I think, are some of my, favorite, like, arcade games. The minute it goes into, like, mid-80s, though, is when the, I don't enjoy it. And also because in those arcade collections, because they have to, because they don't obviously, in most of those cases, they don't like go back to reprogram the game otherwise, except to, of course, make the controls play with whatever controller is available for the system. Either the gamepad or just the keyboard. So they always have to put in a button for entering coins, which I think is just the wrong way to do it, because the way they used to do it, back when they actually ported arcade games to consoles and stuff, the way they used to do it is that they gave you you were either given a limited number of continues, or you were given, or you could keep going until you shut the game off, as in most fighting games. Street Fighter 2 obviously comes to mind first. But it's to me, it's ridiculous that in those arcade collections they then think it's okay to just give you a chance, because basically I guess you could say it gives you infinite continues, but it always feels to me like then there are no stakes really. I kind of prefer having just a limited number of like continues and stuff, because especially if it's not a fighting game. For a fighting game, it makes a little bit of sense, because you don't make progress unless it is It is not a, you cannot make a progress without defeating the opponent, and so, having infinite continues doesn't actually change that. But for something, if it's like an arcade platformer, or a beat 'em up, or any kind of game where there is actual progress, I honestly feel it kind of robs the whole game of its charm if literally you can just keep going by inserting coins and never having to face the reality of losing all your lives and at least starting the level from the beginning. Like, okay, I get it if you don't want to like force the people to start the whole game from the start. Although, frankly, I kind of like that as well, to some extent. I mean, there are with some exceptions. Obviously, people might have seen the Cutthroat Island Let's Play the one episode Let's Play that I did, and there definitely like having at least one continue would be, I think, appropriate. Like even just the one, or at least a level skip code, you know, in case you know you do die and get a game over. Which is funny, I actually just discovered, I have never known this, but there actually is a level skip code for Batman Forever for the Super Nintendo. And it's really funny because I've never gone very far in that game. I actually, that's a guilty pleasure game of mine. I actually like that a lot, despite its infamy. Yes, it's mostly because, you know, Batman Forever is my favorite Batman movie, but even so, like, it's a funny game. It's a funny game. Like, you know, I don't mind a bad game if it's entertaining. Oh no, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I cannot keep track of the fucking enemy projectiles at all. It's also because I honestly feel like the shelters, the shade, is not providing me a lot of it's not giving me a lot of like safe space. Yeah. You really just don't, in this version, like, you really just don't want to stay in one place ever, because shit just keeps raining down on you. The other Space Invaders clone that I have, I don't remember what it's called. It might be called just Invaders, but that one is even more faithful. Like, it actually, like, they actually, like, even copied how the sprites looked in the original, which is, you know, less definition than here. I honestly, this looks, yeah, this looks comparable to, actually, yeah, this is already like VGA graphic style, but I'm pretty sure this is actually running, like the timing of this is based on the clock speed, because I noticed this when I had this on auto. And it feels like DOSBox on auto always, like, basically wants to always play the games at the highest possible speed. But the problem is that, of course, most games will then run too fast. Like, that's what I was, when we did the Mega Man DOS with Retro Kaiser. We did it twice, actually, kind of, because the second time I was actually pre-recorded. But the same issue there is, like, when people play Mega Man for DOS, they always play it with the wrong clock speeds. Yeah, and I think this is the reason, because this is how it goes in normal Space Invaders too. Like, when you're down to the final row of enemies, it starts to speed up. Yeah, but yes, that was fun, Clone Invader. So thank you for watching. See you on the next one. Bye bye.